window. Keep the off button right there. My card right there. Yeah, the off. Hey, welcome to WBGR Sports Network and the Tom the Bomb Sports Talk Show. And this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we, L-O-V-E, love sports on the Tom the Bomb Show. I'm your host, Tommy Wood, and we got another fantastic show for you today. Hey, we got guests and we got our main man, Felix Bassett. Come on in here, Felix. Felix is joining us today. Like, come on, man. It's the last show for the Tom the Bomb at WBGR TV. Man, we just right off the top, we just want to say thank you to Esquire, Mr. Lionel Green and Dr. Leslie Green. You know, we appreciate the time that we've been here. Man, my main man, Coy, who's been on the one, you know, the devil is alive. We had some technical difficulties, but nothing's going to stop this train today. We're going to have fun today as we take out on the last show at WBGR. Like I said, we got another fantastic show. We always want to start off by thanking God for everything that He's done for us in the new year. Our theme for 2024 is this is the year of fixed purpose. Proverbs 4:24 in the Easy Read Bible says, keep your eyes on the path and look straight ahead. Make sure you are going the right way, and nothing will make you fall. This is what's going to allow you to ignore life's daily distraction, because the word tells us that the enemy comes for the word immediately. He's coming for the word immediately because he don't want it to take root and grow in your life. But if you keep your eyes on the prize, nothing will allow you to fall. Hey, we got trivia today, man. We had to break everything out. We got trivia today. Let's get to our trivia question. We got a lot to cover. I need y'all to listen fast because we got a lot of stuff we're going to be covering. So let's start off with today's trivia. Today's trivia is the Washington Commanders are in first place in the NFC East. Can you believe it? It's a sign of the apocalypse. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. It hit me in the head. The Washington Commanders are in first place in the NFC East. And not only are they in first place, Felix, they look like the best team in the NFC East. That's why we know it's a sign of the apocalypse. The Commanders in first place and the sky is falling. So, hey, with that, look, Felix and Troy's and Nat Wood's Commanders are averaging 30 points per game. Can you believe that? They defeated the Arizona Cardinals yesterday 42-14, which leads us to our trivia question. When was the last time the Washington organization scored 40 points or more?
I know it.
The trivia question, well, you're a fan. You should know it. When was the last time the Washington football organization scored 40 points or more? That's today's trivia question. Hey, let's get to, we just want to mention out real quick. Hey, you know, Tom the Bomb is on YouTube. Just put in Tom the Bomb Sports Talk in the search bar and the show will pop up. And don't forget to hit that like bell and subscribe button, that red subscribe button. Tom the Bomb would appreciate it greatly. Hey, we got a poll. We got trivia and we got a poll question. So let's get our poll question up. So our poll question today, let's go ahead and bring that up for us, Coy. Let's bring up the poll question. And here's today's poll question. What do you guys think about Charlie Brown's new girlfriend? Let's bring that up. See if we can get that up. Yes, no, this is not a joke. For the holiday season, they're going to introduce Charlie Brown's new girlfriend, and you are seeing that right. Charlie Brown has jungle fever. Well, that's I'm not
right.
That's
not right.
Hey man, look, man, it's the last show, man. We gonna have fun today, man. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. They're going to introduce over the holiday season Charlie Brown's new girlfriend. So our poll question is, what do you guys think of Charlie Brown's new girlfriend. And then on the other side, that's our fat pumpkin there. That's our dumpling. That's Suge Avery. She's the Wood family's pumpkin. That's right. So that's our poll question today. What do you guys think of Charlie Brown's new girlfriend? There it is. There it is. Hey, we want to give a shout out to Tom the Bomb's new sponsor, MB Automotive at 11874 Coakley Circle in Rockville, Maryland. 20852 can be reached at info@mbautoinc.com. See them all in Patrick. They'll take great care of you. They actually have my vehicle right now. My truck broke down on me, and Dr. Lauren, and we had to get it towed, and they do fantastic work, man. There's so much going on. The enemy is busy, but you know what, though, man? We're going to keep our eye on the prize. We're going to stay focused, and we are not coming off the word. Hey, gang, what are we watching tonight? You guys know what we're watching. We got the Tennessee Titans versus the Miami Dolphins at 7:30 p.m. And then the NFL is still in the thing where they're giving us 2 Monday night games. We also got the Seattle Seahawks versus the Detroit Lions at 8:15 p.m. on ESPN. So, man, we got a lot of stuff to cover, man. So, like I said, I need you guys to listen fast. Hey, off script, man. Have you guys been keeping it? We know the Major League Baseball is about to start their playoffs, and the Arizona Diamondbacks, who've been locked in all season in with a playoff spot, they hit the dives, kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles, and they just lost a lot of games and they lost that spot. So they put themselves in a position where the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets had to play a doubleheader today. And the only way the Arizona Cardinals could get in the playoffs is either the Braves have to sweep the Mets or the Mets have to sweep the Braves. And if that happens, the Arizona Diamondbacks are in the playoffs. But if Atlanta wins one game or the Mets win one game, then both of those teams are in the playoffs. Tom the Bomb was almost late getting here because he was watching the game, came on 1 o'clock Eastern. And it was unbelievable baseball, man. Man, it's just something about when you put the word playoffs in for playoffs. So something about when you put the word playoffs in front of a game. Man, this game with the Mets and the Braves, game 1, it was unbelievable. I'm taping game 2 now because it's going on while I'm here. But the Mets pulled it out. They were down 3-0, and then they scored 6 runs to come back. And then the very next inning, the Braves came back and scored 4 and took the lead. And what's that shortstop for the Mets name? He's an MVP candidate. I can't think of him off the top of my head. Lindor. Francisco Lindor comes up in the top of the 9th and hits a 2-run dinger to put the Mets over the Braves 8-7 in game 1. So, Felix, you asked the question, well, right, what's the Mets' motive to win game 2?
Right.
Which, that, and one of the things that the commissioner of Major League Baseball said was, because whoever wins game 1 is automatically in the playoffs. So they were saying, we don't want anybody busting out any champagne. We don't want any celebrations in the game because we want people to realize that this is legit. And yes, the Mets won game 1, but they're trying to win game 2. But Felix, what's their incentive to win game 2 now that they're in?
That's a solid point because at this point, the Mets, they're not competing for a higher playoff spot, to my knowledge. So at this point, you're almost at the start of the playoffs. No incentive, not to mention these are back-to-back games. It's going to be physically taxing, and people don't really talk about this, but it's going to be physical recovery time, not just for the players, but also mentally. So again, you can't really expect the Mets to go full force into game 2.
All righty. Let's jump right into the show. We got a lot to cover. Hey, let's get our East Side Flyer update. East Side, all gas and no brakes. Hey, the East St. Louis Flyers breezed by the O'Fallon Panthers on the road as they tuned up the Panthers 55-0 on Friday. The game was won in the trenches, like all football games are really, with the lion's share going to Amir Tillman. Amir Tillman rushed for, check this out, 110 yards and 2 touchdowns on 6 carries, Felix. He rushed for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns on 6 carries.
What kind of Derrick Henry numbers are those?
Laverius Woods added another 103 yards rushing, and Chris Bennett took a kickoff to the house for another TD. The Flyers had a total of 303 yards rushing as they improved to 5-0 as they take on the Belleville West at 7 p.m. on Friday, October 24th. All gas, no brakes. Coach Darren Sunken has the Flyers on point. Good luck to the rest of the Southwest Conference because the train is coming and you better get off the tracks. Hey, if you notice, we started a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties. I told you the devil is a liar. This is our last show, but we're gonna have a great show. We're gonna have fun today. So we kind of lost some of our video, but we're gonna talk about the Colorado Buffalo versus UCF. Colorado routs UCF 48-21 as Shedeur Sanders throws for 290 yards and 3 TDs on Saturday to help improve Colorado to 4-1 and 2-0, more importantly, in the Big 12. The two-way star Travis Hunter had a TD catch and an interception and striking the Heisman pose after the interception. Of course, that got people's attention. You know they don't like that. Coach Primetime said, I feel like we're trending in the right direction. You guys are now seeing the fruit of a lot of hard work and dedication. I love where we are as a program. Of course, we could be better, but we're trending in the right direction. Hunter had 9 catches on 9 targets. That's efficient, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For 89 yards and a touchdown along with his interception. Will Shepard and LeJontay Wester also had receiving touchdowns, while Dallin Hayden and Michael Welch both scored on the ground as the Buffaloes actually rushed 428 yards. For Colorado, actually including the running game in it. The defense improved, slowing down an offense that was leading the nation, averaging 376 yards per game rushing. The Buffaloes played an all-around collective game, offensively, defensively, and special teams. Coach Sanders said, "It's the type of balance that we need. I know that we can do it. I believe in them wholeheartedly." What's your take on the Colorado Buffaloes this early in the season at 4-1? They only won 4 games all of last year, and already they've won 4 games this year. What's your take on Colorado so far this year, Felix?
So I think we already saw the signs of strength and improvement in Colorado even last season, although it didn't pan out in the end as we all expected. But this is a budding program. So, of course, it started off with Colorado, of course, not really being as much on the map as some of the other bigger name programs. But, of course, you're going to have Sanders there. That's going to draw a lot of attention. So they had the attention. They had the improvement in talent. But still, it wasn't all the way there yet. And I think one of the first red flags is the fact that even though their game against Colorado State, Colorado versus Colorado State, that was one of the best college football games that I've ever seen, the one from last year. But, of course, it was a red flag. You're thinking if Colorado's as good as everyone was touting them to be last year, why would they have so much difficulty beating them? Then fast forward to this year, they're doing this to some of the better programs in the NCAA. So I'm thinking that Colorado, they're becoming what people expected them to become, and we're seeing it in real time right now. This may have been their breakout game.
Well, it's still early. We'll see. Like Coach Sanders said, he liked where they're going. Of course, they could be better in some areas. But you know what? What I like is that, we talk about this all the time on the Tom the Bomb Show. Football is actually a very simple game, man. You have to be able to run the ball. You got to convert on third downs. You have to be able to stop the run. For the most part, and don't turn the ball over. When you do those things, you win. That's what all the successful teams do. If you look in the NFL, all of the teams that have been successful for a decade and 2 decades, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, San Francisco, New England, Green Bay, that's what those teams do. So let's get to the next college game. Alabama versus Georgia, game of the year. Did we witness the game of the year with one of the craziest finishes as an SEC? Did we witness one of the best games of the year?
Absolutely.
Wow. Like I said, it was one of the craziest finishes for an SEC game in recent history. 17-year-old Ryan Williams saved Alabama's with his 75-yard dramatic TD catch versus Georgia. Williams said after the catch, his only thought was, don't get tackled. The dynamic freshman ballet move put me in remembrance of Lynn Swann. completing the catch with an electrifying spin move and dash to the end zone that helped number 4 Alabama hold on for a thrilling 41-34 win over number 2 Georgia. Felix, what was your take on the game?
I think that was just another classic SEC game. Of course, when you're talking about the SEC, I've said this before. This is part of, I'm kind of jumping ahead here. This is part of why I knew Jayden Daniels was just the right pick based on what we know so far. It's the most competitive conference in all of college football. That's where the big name players usually come from. And aside from that, this is where you see the most competitive and most consistent football. In college football, I understand it's a level below the professional level, so it's not going to be as consistent. It's going to be messier, but you don't really see that out of the SEC. I dare to say that if you want to see a preview for the NFL's future, you're generally going to tune in. I strongly suggest you just tune into the SEC games. Like I think that's really it right there.
Well, that's kind of biased, but you're right. The Crimson Tide once led 28-0, suddenly finding themselves trailing 34-33 with a little more than 2 minutes left in the game after a furious Georgia rally. Williams and QB Jalen Milroe didn't waste any time answering on first down with a well-executed back shoulder throw to Williams, who pirouetted around the Georgia defenders and raced to the end zone. Through 4 games, Williams has caught 5 touchdowns while averaging 29 yards per catch. That's big time.
Yes.
He's just 17, and he's only getting better. Jalen Milroe, who did nothing to hurt his Heisman campaign, passed for 374 yards and 2 touchdowns passing, and he rushed for 117 yards, and he ran another 2 TDs on the ground. Milroe said, "I know that 4 + 2 = 6." Meaning his number is 4, Williams' number is 2.
Yep.
If they hook up, they get 6. As Williams caught 6 passes for 177 yards, he has 6 catches of 40 yards or longer in just 4 weeks. Williams, 17, wasn't even born when Nick Saban was named Alabama coach in 2007. Isn't that amazing? Alabama has now beat Kirby Smart in Georgia 9 out of 10 meetings. Boy, they got Georgia's number. As Xavier Brown, another freshman, who also happens to wear number 2. It's interesting in college football because I have so many players, they double the number. So you can have a number 2 on offense and you can have a number 2 on defense. So Xavier Brown, another freshman who also wears number 2, intercepted Georgia's QB Carson Beck to end Georgia's last hurrah. Hey, you know what, Coy? Let's just keep rolling. We were going to take a break here, but you know what? We got a lot of information. Let's just keep rolling, Coy. Let's just jump right to the NFL. I know you guys are waiting for it, so let's get to it. All righty. Man, listen, let me just start off by saying this. We say this a lot on the Time Bomb Show. Man, don't be betting on NFL football, man. Don't do it, Benny. It's suicide. Don't do it, man. Listen, if the money is burning in your pocket that bad, listen, I have an alternative choice. You can send the money to Tom the Bomb Sports Talk, Inc., and I promise you we'll do something charitable with it. But man, don't be betting on NFL football, man. That's suicide, Benny. Don't do it, man. Hey, let's start off with our first game, NFL. We got the Alice Cowgirls versus the G-Men of New York. The Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants. Let's jump right into this one. Let's get to the NFL started. The Cowboys prevailed over the Giants 20-15. But Felix, I don't feel like this is a game that the Cowboys should be beating their chest. Like we came in here and we dominated. I watched the game. I thought the Giants could have won it. They had some key drops. Danny Dimes didn't play bad. Their rookie sensation Neighbors, he got hurt, got concussed. Let's see if we have. I don't know if we have video of this or not. What was your take on this Cowboys and Giants game, Felix?
I think that this game, not really an impressive showing from either team. So, of course, it was It was a game in which if Dallas really had it together and if they were really the team that we thought they were heading into the season, or if this was the same Dallas Cowboys of last year, they would have blown out the Giants. And the thing is, I saw signs of strength from the Giants, but overall, it was just an underwhelming performance on both sides of the ball. You didn't really see any consistency. You just saw one or two good drives from both teams, and that was it.
Listen, Dak got his money.
Yep.
CD Lamb got his money. They still got to pay Micah Parsons. But there's something off in Dallas, man. And, anytime you start talking about team sports, I know it's kind of cliche-ish, but chemistry is a very, very important part of the mix. And, man, they just don't all seem to be on the same page. Now, this is something else that Tom the Bomb says all the time, which applies to every aspect of our life. You cannot overcome bad leadership. You can't do it, man. No organization can rise above its leadership. If the leadership is bad at the very, very top, that organization can only go so far. And listen, here in Washington with the Commanders, that they can testify to what happens when you have a bad leader in Daniel Snyder.
Absolutely.
Daniel Snyder, when Daniel Snyder sold a team, listen, man, all over the DMV they were singing, ding dong, the witch is dead, the witch is dead, the witch is dead. I'm not kidding you guys. And look, with one season with Daniel Snyder gone, look at what the Commanders are doing. And I'm saying this because Jerry Jones is a brilliant businessman, one of the greatest marketers that we're ever going to see in sports. But man, this guy is the anchor that's dragging the Dallas Cowboys down. And, and he says this all the time, I'll do anything to get another Super Bowl. Felix, I just got one question for Jerry Jones. If you'll do anything to win one more Super Bowl, are you willing to give up control?
Well, I don't think so, because if he's going to do that, he has to hire a GM, and if he has to hire a GM, he has to pay him.
Something
and if
went
he has
wrong.
to pay the GM,
Please try again.
If he has to pay the GM, he might not be able to afford another yacht.
Hey, man, it is what it is, man, and they just, he can't get out of his own way. He won't hire GM because he's the GM.
Yep.
And whenever you feel like that you're the smartest guy in the room, and Jerry Jones is definitely the smartest guy in the room, any room that he's in, at least that's what he thinks. And man, something's just off in Dallas, man. This team looked much better last year than they do right now. So they get the victory 20-15, but I don't think this is anything that the Cowboys should be feeling great about. All right, Coy, let's see if we got any more video. Let's get to our next game, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Carolina Panthers. And the Bengals prevailed in this one 34-24. If we can just go back, I got you here, Felix. Last week they made the big move of benching Bryce Young, and I feel like that it was the right move.
Right.
And even though the Bengals won this game 34-24, I can't believe the change that we are now seeing in the Carolina Panthers offense just from having the red gun, Andy Dalton, in there. Andy Dalton's a good professional quarterback. What's your take on this game and Andy Dalton moving in as the starter for the Carolina Panthers, Felix?
Well, it's probably too early to tell, but you see that there's a definite paradigm shift in Carolina. So, of course, you're just seeing better football being played. And it's not, and of course, the major story is the quarterback position. You see what Andy Dalton is doing for this team. And also, when one position does well, or one side of the ball does well, it carries forward momentum. It motivates the rest of the team to say, hey, you know what, we have something really good going on. If we can make this stop, if we can stop them on this one third down, this one situation, or force this to happen, the offense is going to carry it from here. And we just see that time and time again. And if one side of the team, the ball's not doing well, and the other is stellar, what's going to happen is that the motivation is going to be gone. They're going to be, like, at a certain point, it's going to be, we've stopped the offense the entire game, the opposing offense, that is, and our offense is not doing anything for it. So at that point, it just sets in, what are we really doing? And it's not something that a person would actively think, but it's something that just sets into the psyche. And of course, you just see that constantly demonstrated, like in various situations throughout the history of football, not just football, just I would dare to say sports in general. And again, like you said, that's an aspect of chemistry.
All righty. Well, Bengals prevailed 34-24. I think people were looking at the Bengals as possibly someone that was going to challenge Mother Wiggs, Kansas City Chiefs, and maybe even be a Super Bowl contender. But, there's something that's kind of off in Cincinnati as well. And listen, here's what I want to say, Felix. I think all of this is tied to guys not being in camp, guys not having their contracts uncertain, coming into camp late. We talked about chemistry early, and the chemistry gets upset, and I think it affects the rest of the team. And the other important factor is the players aren't playing in the preseason anymore.
Yep.
That's why we're seeing so many injuries. So when you got guys hanging out, because they haven't gotten the contract that they want, and then you have the shortened preseason where they aren't playing. Bryce Young played 2 series in all of preseason, and then they bench him after 2 games.
Yep.
You should have let the kid play the whole preseason. He's a kid, So I think that's a big part of what we're seeing with the Cowboys being off, with the Bengals being off, and it's still early. We'll see. Let's move on to our next game. We got the New Orleans Saints versus the Atlanta Falcons. I knew this was going to be a good game. It's an interdivision game. Plus, these are actually 2 of the better teams in the league so far. And Tom Baum took it, real quick. Of course, Tom the Bomb had the Cowboys over the Giants, so we had a winner there. And Tom the Bomb had the Bengals over the Panthers. But Tom the Bomb took an L on this one because Tom the Bomb took the Saints, the undefeated Saints versus the Falcons, and the Falcons prevailed 26-24. Felix, what was your take on this game?
Well, my take was similar to yours at the beginning. I had the Saints over the Falcons, and really, if you look at this game, the Saints outplayed the Falcons. And in reality, the Saints should have beaten the Falcons. And I'm not just talking about that late pass interference towards the end of the game that put the Falcons in field goal range for the Falcons to kick the game-winning field goal, and their kicker is stellar, by the way. But here's the thing. If you look at the Falcons' 26 points, 14 of those came from either a pick six or a punt recovery, and it wasn't just any sort of recovery. It was a muffed punt return that was recovered in the end zone, something you just probably have never seen before, or at least if you've seen it, it's few and far between. And quite frankly, again, how many times are the Falcons going to get this lucky? And really, I've seen the Falcons. I know what Kirk Cousins is able to do. I know the kind of quarterback he is, but I'm looking at him this year, and this is probably the least impressed I've been with his performance. I know he hasn't been perfect, but I dare to say that this is probably the worst showing he's had since before he was named an NFL starter. Like, I'm taking him all the way back to 2014. And on top of that, you have to take into account this is the first time in his career he doesn't really have an elite wide receiver core. Even in Washington, I don't want to drone on too long, he had Garcon and Jackson there from the get-go. And from there, he just went on to have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, so on and so forth.
Okay, you know what, Felix? I think Kirk Cousins hurt. I really do. Kirk Cousins has been a solid NFL quarterback for most of his whole career.
Right.
And, he had a major injury last year. And I personally don't think Kirk Cousins is 100% healthy, But boy, he's got that 4-leaf clover in his pocket because the Falcons are winning games that they very easily should have lost. They should have lost to the Eagles, and they very easily should have lost to this game against the Saints. And that's why I keep telling you guys, man, don't be betting on these NFL football games, man. That's just crazy. Our next game was Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Houston Texans. Tom the Bomb had this one correct, of course. But Tom the Bomb got a thing with the Houston Texans. Tom the Bomb loved the Houston Texans. Yeah, we all do. I have dear friends that are season ticket holders for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and my heart bleeds for them because they almost kind of remind me of Washington Commanders fan, with the exception being is that the Commanders actually see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not another train coming. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, that light that they're looking at, that's another train coming. The Texans took out the Jaguars in a tough division game, 24-20, and man, they played hard. But I just believe that the better team won. What's your take on this one?
This is another case in which, yes, the better team did win, and of course,
Corey, I think our audio.
I would
off.
say it's
Can you check
another
our audio.
hard-fought divisional matchup, and at the same time, I do look at this Jaguars team. Of course, the Jaguars are not exactly one of the better teams in the NFL, but they're still competitive. There are aspects of strength there, and of course, Trevor Lawrence is able to do his own thing, and you saw that demonstrated in that game. But again, the Texans, like you say, they're the better team, and the better team won.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on to our next game. We got the Denver Broncos versus the New York Jets, and the Broncos prevailed 10-9 in this game. And we actually some video. Listen, man, I know who Aaron Rodgers is. Okay, I know who Aaron Rodgers is, and I just feel like that the NFL is stuffing the Jets down our throats, putting them on all these national games, and they had last year. The New York Jets had the worst quarterbacking in all of the NFL. They still have a good defense. They got a good running game in Bryce Hall. So your natural thinking is you add an ex MVP like Aaron Rodgers to the mix. He doesn't even have to be great. He just has to be good. And this is going to be a playoff team. But that's not what we're seeing. The other question that I have for you, Felix, is what's the deal with the Broncos? Because they start off 0-2, and they look like one of the worst teams in the league. Bo Nix proves my point that these young quarterbacks shouldn't be playing early. But then they come back and beat a Tampa Bay Buccaneer team who Nat Wood feels like is going to be a playoff team.
Right.
And then they turn around and beat the Jets at home 10-9. So one thing for sure, we do know that Denver has a defense. What's your take on this game, Felix?
So I definitely say this. It's to your point, yes. It's just ever since the Jets acquired Aaron Rodgers, all the national media headlines are thinking, he's going to save the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is going to save the Jets. And I've been saying this for a while. Even when Aaron Rodgers was in his last years with the Packers, as good as he was, number one, he wasn't exactly what he was in 2011. And I understand that's an unfair comparison. That was peak Aaron Rodgers. And really, I get that. But at the same time, I'm saying there was a bit of a drop. And even at that, he had help around him. He had a talented offense around him. But even beyond that, I will take it a step further that a lot of people don't look at. He had 2 consecutive 13-3 seasons back-to-back, 2019, 2020. A lot of people don't realize that most of those 13 wins were in one possession games. And to add on to it, there are a lot of people saying that those wins came on the side of very questionable calls made by the referees in a lot of those games. So, of course, I kind of saw the cracks in the armor there. And this is when he was with the talented Packers roster. So you move him over to the Jets where he has almost none of the help he had in Green Bay. I saw this coming from a mile away. And actually, Aaron Rodgers, here's an interesting fact no one's talking about. That's the first time Aaron Rodgers in his whole career played a home game and did not score a single touchdown.
I knew you was going to catch that. I knew you were going to catch that point.
So it's not just what I expected, the Jets not showing up to the degree of expectation that we had for them, but it's beyond that. I was thinking Aaron Rodgers could probably bring the Jets to maybe 8-8, 8-9 at best, but now it might not even be that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll close it out by saying I was shocked. I watched this game, and I was shocked that Denver looked like the better team. And there's no way that I thought Tom the Bomb took an L on this one because Tom the Bomb took the Jets in this game. And, it was close 10-9. And, if the guy makes a field goal, the Jets win. But, Broncos look like the better team. And like I'm going to keep reiterating, stop betting on these NFL football games, man. Don't do it, Benny. Let's move to our next game, which I knew was going to be probably the best game of the day. And that's the undefeated Minnesota Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers. Tom the Bomb took an L on this one. I didn't know if Jordan Love was going to play, but I felt like that even if Jordan Love didn't play, I still felt like the Packers would win this game.
Yes.
And the Packers very easily could have won this game. But listen, at 4-0, look who they've beaten. They've beaten my San Francisco 49ers. They've beaten the Green Bay Packers. Listen, man, you got to understand that fat meat is greasy. Okay, and this Minnesota Viking team looks for real, man. And hey, Tom the Bomb has been sleeping on these Vikings. And let's talk about Sam Darnold for a second. Listen, man, Sam Darnold was a good quarterback from day one. He came out, he was another one of those quarterbacks that was highly drafted. They put him into the starting role right away, and he just wasn't ready. And at this point in his career, before these 4 games, I would say that most people would say that Sam Darnold was a bust in the NFL. But I say this all the time, man. I don't care who you are at quarterback. You put a quarterback in the wrong system, and he's going to look bad. If a quarterback isn't playing in the right system, it's just not going to work for him, man. So there's so many things that are dependent on him looking good. And, man, he's in the perfect spot with the Minnesota Vikings. He's got a great young coach, a great offensive mind. And, I don't think nobody expected anything. Matter of fact, one of the questions was, yeah, they got Justin Jefferson, possibly the best wide receiver in all of the NFL. But who's going to throw it to him? That's what they said in the preseason. Right. Who's going to throw it to him? Well, they say, well, they got Sam Darnold. And people go, Sam Darnold? Are you kidding me? Man, Sam Darnold is the leading passer in the NFL after 4 weeks. What's your take on this one?
I'll say this. I did have my questions about the Minnesota Vikings, and moreover Sam Darnold. But I saw what Darnold did in this game, and you're just watching the highlights as they happen right now. So not only was he a threat over passing, he was also running the ball too. And it was what you want out of an NFL quarterback, not just so much being overly reliant on dink and dunks or being a proverbial one-trick pony, but he's able to get the ball to different receivers, different routes, just being able to just impact your defense in more than one way. And in reality, I think that this is what what people who were looking at Sam Darnold in the draft and even beforehand, this is what they knew he was capable of, and it's coming out now. I think this might actually be his breakout season. And furthermore, especially towards the beginning of the game, we saw what that Minnesota Vikings defense is all about this season.
Alrighty, the Vikings prevail 31-29 in a close nail biter. Hey man, the purple people eaters, the Vikings are for real, man. But this is a tough conference, and the Vikings have made a believer out of me, but I still think the Packers are going to win this division. I do. I like what I see in Green Bay. I really do like what I see in Green Bay. And Jordan Love was a little rusty coming off, but, I felt like they shouldn't even play him. But, hey, it is what it is. It was a great game. They could have won it either way. Let's get to our next game, the Steelers versus the Indianapolis Colts. And the Colts prevailed 27-24. And Tom the Bomb took the undefeated Steelers in this one. But let me tell you, I'm not shocked about this at all because the Colts are a good football team. They've lost some very, very close games early this year. Michael Pittman finally showed up. I have Michael Pittman on my fantasy football team, and I think he caught 3 passes in the first 3 weeks, so I put him on the bench. And, of course, he goes off in this game, man. My wife tells me I should call it frustration football because my top scorers are always on the bench, and I'm 0-4 in my fantasy football league, man. It's just a crapshoot, man. But the Steelers, even in this loss, they lost 24-27. One of the questions is that Russell Wilson is going to be able to play next week. Felix,
yes.
Do you put Russell Wilson back in the lineup ahead of Fields?
No, not now, and not now. And why? Because I look at what Justin Fields was able to do. I look at what the Steelers have. Even though the Steelers lost this game, and I see, even in their 3 victories, I saw obvious signs of weakness there. Their offense wasn't exactly clicking the way you'd expect them to. You look at their very first win against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons practically gave them that game with all the mistakes that they were making. Then you look at their next win against the Denver Broncos, lowest scoring game, and even the week after. So really, even though things are not necessarily going well, it's not really on the fault of Justin Fields. If anything, and this is a bold statement, right now, they probably have the better option given their circumstances, given what we see right now. They probably want to keep Justin Fields in there. I'd say you only want to, and to avoid rocking the boat, you probably don't want to bring in Russell Wilson until maybe you see it at a point, well, maybe it's best if we get something going on offense because we're stagnant. But really, that's my take on it. And about what you said about fantasy football, that's just the issue there. That's just it right there. It's like you don't know what player is going to have their breakout game until they have it, and you assume that they're going to carry on from that. but that's their peak, and it's kind of like the proverbial bell curve. It starts off low, goes high, goes down again, and I'm going to go off topic one more time. I promise I'm done. It's why people believe in the Madden curse. The Madden curse only exists because you were put on the cover of Madden after your best season. You can't have a season better than your best season, so that's why it's usually downhill 9 times out of 10 once you make the cover of Madden. So it's not a curse, it's just mathematical dynamics playing out in real life.
Man, I love how smart he is. I do, man. Tom the Bomb is not the smartest one in this room. Hey, man, I absolutely agree with you. I stick with Justin Fields. Even though they lost, Justin Fields, I thought this might have been his best game. And they actually lost where he actually played the best. So, he didn't have anything to do with the defense, which to me has been one of the best defenses in all the NFL, giving up the 27 points. So I absolutely stick with Justin Fields. And Russ is just going to be a great backup. That's how I look at it. Let's move on to our next game. We had the LA Rams versus the Chicago Bears, and Tom the Bomb took another L on this one because Tom the Bomb had the Rams in this game, man. And you just don't know what you're going to get with the Bears because they're the Bears, and then on top of that, a rookie quarterback. But the Bears prevail 24-18. How did you see this game, Felix?
Bears and Rams. Again, this is another reason why, like you said, it's probably best not for people to bet on the NFL. And because you saw what the Rams were able to do against that 49er defense, you would just assume that they'd repeat this against the Bears. And, the Bears, they didn't come off to the best start. And, of course, the Bears' offense, they showed up here. They showed up. Of course, this is the game in which Caleb Williams so far had his best game. And I think people did give up on him too quickly. I do know that, yes, I have spoken about him in a less than favorable light when juxtaposed to Jaden Daniels. But overall, I don't think that people need to start throwing Caleb Williams under the bus yet. You're just in his first month as an NFL pro.
That's right.
So really, it's really too early to say anything about the Bears. So I can't really say that this game should have surprised me as much as it did.
Well, I'll just wrap this up by saying this. Listen, man, you go in and beat the San Francisco 49ers, who are going to be there at the end of the season. The 49ers will be in the playoffs.
Yes.
You go in and beat the San Francisco 49ers, and then you follow this up and you lose to the Chicago Bears with a rookie quarterback. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. I think the LA Rams are one of the most disappointing teams in the league so far. Yeah, their one win comes over my San Francisco 49ers, but part of that is it's a division game. You know them. You match up against them well. But you can't beat the 49ers one week and lose to a rookie quarterback and the Bears the next week. They're the Bears. They're the Bears. They know how to lose. They do. You got the Lions, you got the Tigers, and you got the Bears. That's why when you see Mother Wig in the fight with the bear, what are you supposed to do? Help the bear. All right, don't get me on that one, Vic. Let's move on to our next game. Our next game was the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, man, I think everybody is slamming the Eagles on this as the Buccaneers prevail 33-16. And I'm just not going to be that hard on the Eagles because I think this is a situation, Felix, where the better team won.
Yes.
The Bucs had a hiccup against the Broncos last week, but I think the Broncos are a better team than what people giving them credit for. So the Bucs beating the Eagles 33-16. I don't think we should just slam. Everybody has injuries. The Eagles had a lot of injuries. I think they have both of their starting wide receivers off, and that's putting all the weight on Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. And man, this is a team game, man. It takes 53, not 11. It takes 53, and I think this is a situation to me that I think the better team won at home, and I don't think we should be beating up with the Eagles too bad for taking this L. What's your take on it, Felix?
I think that's exactly it. But aside from that, I'm just looking at the way the Eagles performed this whole season, and really, I can't say much against the Eagles defense for giving up that many points against the Buccaneers. This is a very talented offense that Tampa Bay has. But aside from that, I'm just looking at what the Eagles put forth on offense. The Buccaneers defense, I understand what they're able to do with that front seven, but aside from it, it doesn't really justify holding a team with the expectations that we have of the Eagles to the performance that they totaled on Sunday.
Hey, real quick, kind of off subject, what's your take on Baker Mayfield's statement about Tom Brady and Tom Brady clapping back at him? Are you up on what happened there?
Don't really keep up with the drama. I'm more about the sports, but what happened in that case?
Okay. Well, let me fill you in. After the game, they had you know how the quarterback has to come to the media and talk,
Right.
and Baker Mayfield was saying that when Tom Brady was the quarterback at Tampa Bay, that everything was on an upbeat, everybody was on pins and needles, and that when he came in, it allowed people to relax, and the guys kind of relaxed and they played better. And nobody expected Tampa Bay to have a successful season last year, and they did because the mood changed after Tom Brady left because everything wasn't so uptight. And that's why he feels like they're having success, because he's a more laissez-faire and laid-back leader than Tom Brady. Tom Brady clapped back and said, I thought winning, he said, Baker Mayfield went on to say it was a stressful situation while Tom Brady was there. Tom Brady went on to say, stressful is not winning Super Bowls.
Fair enough.
And to me, my take on this is really simple. It's a loser who really doesn't understand the mentality of a winner. I think it's that simple. You know, when your expectations are so high, you expect so much that you're not. And then the great thing about that is when you have a Tom Brady or a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant at that superstar level, and they work harder than anybody else, that means everybody else got to fall in line.
Right.
You know, so that's what Tom Brady was bringing to the table. And I like Baker Mayfield, but I think it's simply a loser mentality, not understanding a winning mentality.
And the fact of the matter is, if you look at Tom Brady, his teammates usually have the best to say about him, and usually the worst you're going to hear about Tom Brady from his teammates. Maybe he's not going to recommend you to his personal trainer or personal doctor. Now, I can kind of understand that. On the surface, it might sound like someone refusing help, or on the surface, it might sound like someone not exactly being the best friend or teammate. But I can understand how you want to, if you find the best and you're in a competitive sport, a competitive field, you probably don't want to hand out that edge as public information. So I get that. So the thing is, if that's the first negative thing you're hearing about Tom Brady coming from someone who was a teammate of his, to your point, it's kind of wise to err on the side of Brady here.
All right, let's move on to our next game. We had the New England Patriots versus my San Francisco 49ers, and the 49ers showed up. The real 49ers showed up, and the 49ers prevailed 30-13. This was a game that the 49ers were supposed to win. They did win. Tom the Bomb, of course, Tom the Bomb took the 49ers. And the same thing with the Patriots. The Patriots are now 1-3, and I really don't think people should be slamming the Patriots because, I've had to see their first 4 games as well, and I think they've done well. Hey, just off subject, we got a breaking news here. The Atlanta Braves win the second game. Duh. 3-0. Who's surprised about that one? I'm sorry, this report is coming from Captain Obvious that the Atlanta Braves win the second game. Who did the Mets play in the second game? That's what I want to know. They had me and Felix out there striking out and stuff. Well, I'm sorry, getting back to the 49ers and Patriots. The Niners looked like the Niners. And, I talk about frustration football and fantasy football. I tell you, one shrewd move that Tom the Bomb did make is I had the number 2 pick, and I took Christian McCaffrey, who hasn't played at all, but I was smart enough to take Jordan Mason in the 7th round, and Jordan Mason is the 3rd leading rusher in all the NFL, and he's averaging over 100 yards per game. So the 49ers hasn't missed a beat with Christian McCaffrey not being in the lineup. Come on, man. You got a guy averaging 100 yards a game, and he's a backup? Mm-hmm. He hasn't missed a beat. What was your take on this game with the Niners and the Pats?
Well, really, this highlights the importance of having roster depth, number one. If you're able to have a major injury such as that to Christian McCaffrey, obviously wishing him the best in recovery, but also if you're able to back him up and you have someone who's not just at a level of talent that's proficient or just enough to get you by, but he's someone who's able to average 100 yards. It helps you stay on pace. So I'd say this is another case study in the importance of making sure that you have roster depth. You're not top heavy, especially in a sport in which injuries are common. In a sport in which injuries they happen through the course of a season. So I would just keep it at that.
All right, let's move on to our next game, the game that everybody's been waiting for. The Washington Commanders versus the Arizona Cardinals. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. It hit me in the head. It's a sign of the apocalypse. The Washington Commanders are in first place, and not only that, they look like the best team in the NFC East. They're 3-1. They're averaging 30 points a game, and they got the next coming of Lamar Jackson / Michael Vick and Tom Brady and Jayden Daniels. Woo, boy, that's a lot, isn't it?
It is.
Hey, Tom the Bomb made some statements a few weeks back, man. Listen, man, I would take Jayden Daniels right now over Lamar Jackson. What? Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. What are you talking about, Tom the Bomb? Listen, man, Jayden Daniels is a better passer right now than Lamar Jackson is ever going to be, man. Listen, man, this kid is for real. I was talking about this with Felix earlier. You know, when you start talking about quarterbacks, there's a lot of different things. You know, you want your quarterback to have arm strength. You want to be able to make all the throws. You want him to be intelligent. You want him to be smart. But I'm telling you, one of the things that a lot of people overlook in quarterbacks is their poise. And you know, the most poised quarterback that I've ever seen in my whole life was Vinny Testaverde. Vinny Testaverde was unbelievably poised. Now, if you're a great quarterback, of course you're poised. Tom Brady's poised. Joe Montana's poised. Peyton Manning is poised. They're going to be poised. But I watched this rookie, and I'm going to tell you what you can look for. When you watch the quarterback position, watch and see if they have happy feet or not, and see if they're calm in the pocket. And he's a young quarterback having success because he's prepared. This guy played 55 games in college. Listen, Brock Purdy played 50 plus games in college. Anthony Richards played 17. Trey Lance played 13. These guys don't have experience. They're not ready to come into the NFL and be a starting quarterback in the NFL. This kid is what? Watch this guy in the pocket. Watch his feet. Watch how he knows where. You've got to be able to slow this game down. And man, as a person who's not a Commanders fan, I am so excited for the Washington Commanders and their fan because, man, they have officially hit the lottery.
Yes.
They hit the, what is it, the Powerball. They hit the Powerball. They hit the Mega Millions,
yes.
Man. And listen, those losers in Chicago are crying in their sleep. You had the golden ticket, and you let it come to Washington. Caleb, who? Wait a minute, isn't that guy in the Bible? Listen, man, I am so excited for Troy. I'm so excited for Nat Wood. I am so excited for Felix. This kid is the real deal. And I will take him over Lamar Jackson every day of the week and twice on Sunday because he can run, but he's not looking to run. Felix, you see this guy's foot speed? His foot speed is tremendous, but he's not running just for the sake of running. He's like Patrick Mahomes. He's running and looking to pass. And then if he has to run, then he tucks it and he goes. And man, that can run, man. But what I love is his deep ball, man.
Yes.
Did you see the throws, the dimes that he was making, man? Man, this guy, look, Jayden Daniels is must-see TV. Listen, normally when I'm watching NFL games, I watch the Red Zone channel, and and Nat Woods and Troy, they get mad because if they come over, they want to see every single play of the Washington Commanders or whatever game the Washington Commanders. And I'm not watching all of the Washington Commanders, but man, since Jayden Daniels showed up, Tom the Bomb is watching the Washington Commanders because this guy is must-see TV. If you're not watching him, you're gonna miss something, man. And I'm telling you, what I'm seeing is the little subtle things that he's doing that you don't see rookie quarterbacks do. Looking defenders off. making the throw, throwing receivers open that aren't open, and he can do this because he's prepared. Man, 55 games. And I'm talking about top-notch football. Arizona, SEC, like you were mentioning.
Right.
Look, I'm sorry, Felix. This is your team. Tom the Bomb is hogging it. Let's hear from a real Washington Commander fan, Stevie, because I ain't a Washington Commander fan. Let's hear from a real Washington Commander fan. Felix, what's your take on your team?
First off, I'm very flattered to hear that you're watching every single Commanders play now, like I have been doing for the past 20 plus years. But I'm glad to know that I'm not one of the few anymore. It's now going to become a more and more common thing in the years to come. But secondly, you've already mentioned about how Jayden Daniels, he can run, but he's not automatically going to do it. It's not going to be his first option. He's not going to overdo it. And that was one of my first concerns with him. I was just looking at how quickly he would run, and he's corrected that. So, of course, he's an NFL rookie, and he had great performances all season, make no mistake. But he had minor rookie errors, and it's just shocking to see how well he's ironed them out already. And we already know about the yards, we know about the complete passes, we know about the drives, we know about the scores. But here's something people aren't talking about. And I've said this before, and this is what I usually analyze when I'm looking at a draft pick. When you see the yards, those yards, sometimes you can get them, but sometimes you don't know the story behind the yards. You definitely, when it comes down to touchdowns, you can just get touchdowns by being in the goal line and completing 1-yard pass. But what I look at the completion percentage, and Jayden Daniels is the only quarterback in NFL history, to my knowledge, that has had an 80-plus completion percentage in back-to-back NFL games. So you're talking about, you look at Drew Brees, he's known as one of the more accurate quarterbacks in NFL history, and he was known for his accuracy. He was known, just by him having a 70% accuracy, that was historic. That was considered monstrous. Now he's being eclipsed by Jayden Daniels in his first few games in the National Football League. And again, he's already ironed out the proverbial bugs. And like I said, unlike other NFL quarterbacks, they have somewhat of a modus operandi. I mentioned Josh Allen, his modus operandi, when he had Stephon Diggs, is either go to him or you go for checkdowns. Every quarterback, Russell, you could talk about any quarterback. But just to keep it short, if you look at Jayden Daniels, you never know where he's going to go next. He's going to go dink and dunk. He's going to go to the tight end, slot receiver, wide receiver. Is he going to run? You just never know. And he's one of the few quarterbacks in the NFL that just has that split-second decision-making, that cognitive agility is just unheard of. And I'm just really glad to see this finally on the Washington Commanders.
Felix, let's put Big Brother on blast. Nat Wood said it's just 3 games.
Okay.
Let's see where we are after the Dallas and the Eagles. Look, let's put Big Brother on blast. Listen, man, that guy sitting on the other side of the couch, he got a grin on his face bigger than fried chicken and watermelon. Come on. He's busting at the seams with this team, man. He's trying to keep it a secret. He's trying to keep it a secret, man. The secret is out, man. Jayden Daniels is 007. Jayden Daniels is Bond. Jayden Daniels is the truth. Jayden Daniels is the man, boy. You can't hold this down, man. Go on, let that avalanche run, that wood.
I'll say this.
I know you grinning right now, man. Come on, man. It's been 30 plus years. Go ahead and let it out. Let your hair down. Look at Felix is smiling. Felix only smile on 2 days a week, and usually it ain't Monday. Look, we even got the Grinch that stole Christmas, Troy. He's happy. Man, listen, man. Business in the DMV is better when the Washington Commanders are winning, man. Listen, this is a football town. And you say, well, hey, the Commanders are just 30 minutes away. Listen, let me explain for you guys who don't live in the DMV. Baltimore and Washington is like St. Louis and East St. Louis.
Yes.
So the people who live in East St. Louis, and so they know what I'm talking about. The people in Baltimore won't let you say they're from D.C. surely won't let you say that they from Baltimore.
Ever.
So it ain't like the people in Washington are rooting for the Ravens. That's not happening. And the people in Baltimore are not rooting for the Commanders. But boy, they both got 2 good quarterbacks now, man. And, Washington had an opportunity to go after and sign Lamar Jackson, and they should have done that. But, man, God has smiled on the Commanders, man, because this Jayden Daniels is all that and a bag of chips. Commanders win 42-14. Congratulations, Washington Commanders. Tom the Bomb have to give it up. Hey, let's move on to our next game. We got Mother Wiggs Kansas City Chiefs versus the LA Chargers. And hey, man, listen, the Mother Wiggs Kansas City Chiefs are struggling right now. But man, good teams win when they aren't playing at their best. That's what good teams do. And make no mistake about it, they're the champs. They are the champs. The champ is here. They are the champs, man. And, you know, yes, they've having some close games. Look, they just lost their best receiver, Rashee Rice, for the whole year. It's been acknowledged that he has a torn ACL, and he's gone for the year. It's funny how that happens because I think he had some personal problems off the field, and I think he was going to be suspended anyway. But it just so happened now he gets hurt, and it's so funny because Patrick Mahomes, his quarterback, is the one who took him out. But hey, man, that's what good teams do, man. When they don't have it all together, they still win. And I felt like that this was a trap game for the Kansas City Chiefs because this is a good football team. Harbaugh has this Charger team playing really good football, and this was a trap game for them. And you know the Chiefs won 17-10. But when's the last time you seen Patrick Mahomes only put up 17 points? It's not that the Chiefs are playing bad. That's how good of a team that the Chargers are. And Harbaugh and these Chargers, they're going to be around, man. So this was also a very, very tough game if you guys had a chance to watch it. What was your take on this one, Felix?
I would say this about the Kansas City Chiefs. So, of course, overtime, and I'm going to have to mention Eric Bieniemy here. So, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously the best team, best offense in the NFL, last half decade and change. But over time, you kind of saw what happened. Okay, they lose their best receiver in Tyreek Hill, and they lose their best runner in Hunt. So, of course, that team was still able to maintain the elite and just the overall dominant offensive performances that they were able to have at the leadership of Bieniemy. As a matter of fact, even without Tyreek Hill and without Kareem Hunt, Patrick Mahomes still managed the best NFL season, actually the best NFL season any offensive players ever had in 2022, even without his best targets not named Kelsey. So that just went to show you. And if you look at last season, although the Chiefs won, a lot of people don't talk about this. Statistically speaking, last year was the worst year of Patrick Mahomes' career in terms of statistics.
And they won the Super Bowl.
As funny as that is, that just tells you how good Mahomes is and how good the Chiefs have it right now. In their worst season, they won the Super Bowl. So check this out. So, of course, it's looking like a steady regression with Kansas City. You've seen them win their 3 Super Bowls. Make no mistake, they've already been the dominant team of this era. But really, I think it's just a proverbial. I think we're already witnessing the progression of a proverbial downhill slide. And honestly, unless some changes happen in Kansas City, I think at a certain point in this season they're going to run into the proverbial buzzsaw.
Well, we know that God, our Lord and Savior, is not a respecter of persons, but maybe He hears some people's prayers more than others, and it might be that He liked Mother Wig better than He liked Steve. I don't know, maybe. Let's move on to our next game. We got the Cleveland Browns versus James Las Vegas Raiders. And the Raiders prevailed 20-16. This is another reason why you can't bet on these games, man. I know the Raiders are playing better football than they have in the past, but the Browns are supposed to win this game, man. Man, what is going on with Deshaun Watson, man? Okay, yeah, they miss Nick Chubb. Of course you're going to miss Nick Chubb. But, you know, the defense is supposed to have been the calling card for this team. And I know 20 points is not a lot of points. If you hold an NFL team to 20 points, you should win. But your offense has got to score more than 16. Hey, man, Deshaun, you're responsible for this, man. I'm sorry, man. The quarterback gets all of the credit, and with all of the credit, he gets the blame too, man. And, man, this is falling squarely in Deshaun Watson's lap. He's got to be able to put up more than 16 points. Come on, man. That's 16 points. You got to do better than that. And I'm a big Deshaun Watson's fan. But, man, there's some things that are going on, you know, where that's affecting his play. You know, I like the fact that he ran more, which he needs to do more of. But, like I said, the quarterback got to move the chains, and he's not moving the chains. What's your take on this one?
So I'm just looking at the Cleveland Browns, and of course, like I've said, they were quietly one of the better teams in the NFL over the last few years. Even, I dare to say this, even in since 2019. So, of course, number one, they already had a stacked running back core, and what do we know about running backs? Overall, over time, they start to regress, and they tend to regress quicker than other position groups. And you also look at their front seven. You talk about the defense. That's the calling card of the Browns. That's something that I noticed. That was the first thing that the Cleveland Browns improved after their 0-16 season in 2017. The first thing that they beefed up was their defensive line. And I noticed this as early. This sounds crazy. I actually noticed this as early as the offseason and preseason of the 2018 season. And you just look at what they were able to do, and quite frankly, you're seeing that regress as well. Then you look at Deshaun Watson, what he was able to do in Houston before he got to Cleveland. He didn't really have all that much help, well, aside from having a star receiver. There wasn't too much on the Houston offense, but he was still able to carry them to the best offensive success that the Houston Texans have ever had in their franchise history. So what happens, it's just, again, you're just seeing regression in real time. And the sad thing with the Cleveland Browns, they never really got to enjoy any of the success, or their talent never really got an opportunity to yield any substantial success for them.
All right, let's get to our last game. Our last game was the Sunday night game, the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens thumped the undefeated Bills 35-10. Tom the Bomb was right on the money with this one, taking the Baltimore Ravens, man. Listen, man, you guys know that Tom the Bomb has been screaming from the top of his lungs, from the rooftops, that you've got to give Derrick Henry 20 to 25 carries. If you give him 20 to 25 carries, he's going to get over 100 yards. And when he rushes over 100 yards, they win 85% of their games. And that's without being on a good team like the Ravens. If Derrick Henry gets 100 yards, gets 20 plus carries, the Ravens can go to the Super Bowl. And the only way that this won't happen is if Lamar Jackson messes it up. Okay? Lamar Jackson can't have more rushes than Derrick Henry. You see what happened to him. Look, Derrick Henry should have had 280 yards. He ran for 87 yards on the first play. Did you guys see that mammoth car moving? Listen, man, this guy broke through the line, and after 10 yards, it was an 80-yard race, and nobody in the secondary for the Bills could catch it. Look at that mammoth car go. Wah. Look, do you guys realize that the Mark V was not faster than the mammoth car? Come on for my Speed Racer fans out there. Did you know that the Mark V was not faster than the mammoth car? Did you see that guy running, man? Listen, and then he gets up that kind of steam. Man, you ain't getting in front of that dude, man. You got to make a business decision, man. Look at that train coming at you, man. You better get off the tracks. I said earlier, the train is coming. Get off the tracks. Listen, man, don't mess this up, Baltimore. All you got to do is give this guy the ball 20 to 25 times, and that's it. You ain't got to do nothing else. But you watch Lamar Jackson mess this up. You watch. I'm telling you guys right now in week 4, you watch Lamar Jackson mess this up. Give that guy the ball 25 times and let him take you to the Super Bowl. What's your take, Felix?
I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to mess it up.
I hope not. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
From what I observed, when Lamar Jackson struggles, it's usually as a result of him not getting the best routes. And I know people who are Baltimore Ravens fans, their biggest complaint is the management or the play calling. So to your point, you say that the play calling has been questionable at best with regards to how many carries they give Derrick Henry. Or even before Derrick Henry, they always had strong running backs. Whether it was lesser-known names such as J.K. Dobbins, you had lesser-known names such as
Gus Williams.
Right, so on and so forth. So really the issue with the Ravens, I think that if you just give Lamar Jackson the proper situation, he's going to make the best out of it. And you just look at what Lamar Jackson has been able to do. No NFL quarterback has had more perfect passer rating games than Lamar Jackson. This is coming from someone who is not a Ravens fan. Like you said, I'm one of the people from the D.C. area that wants nothing, respectfully, that identifies themselves completely separate from Baltimore. We're neighbors and that's it. So really, going back to your point, I don't think Lamar Jackson would mess it up. I think they have the perfect setup here, and this is just what happens when you force the Bills to play from behind. They're used to playing ahead. You force them to play from behind. You limit their playbook. You force Josh Allen to becoming a one-trick pony, put some pressure on him, and that's pretty much what you do.
All righty. Hey, man, I don't think I knew the Ravens were going to win this game. You know, Buffalo's a great team. They don't have to. You're coming to Baltimore. You're going to lose this game. You know, you're going to lose this game, especially when you turn the Mammoth car loose on them. You know, man, you know that you just saw what the formula is. All they have to do is follow the formula. Football is a very, very simple game. You block, you tackle, you run the ball, you convert on third downs, you stop the other team from running, you get the W. It's really that simple. It's the thing about football is the team that can impose their will, the team that can impose the way they want to play is the team that's going to win. And we saw that happen with the Ravens over the Bills. So no big deal. Hey, man, let's get to our predictions, and we're going to move on with the show. Let's start off tonight. We got the Titans versus the Dolphins, Monday night at 7:30. Tom the Bomb is taking the Dolphins in this one. Who do you like, Felix?
Bold pick. I'm going with the Titans.
All righty. I think that's a smart pick. Then we got the Seahawks versus the Detroit Lions. Like the Houston Texans, Tom the Bomb is in love with the Detroit Lions. Tom the Bomb's taking the Lions on this one, although I know Seattle is a first place and a great team. Who do you like, Felix?
Close game because of the underrated Detroit Lions defense, but I'm going with the Seahawks here.
Okay, all right. I love it. See how we disagree, and I love it. We can disagree without being disagreeable. All right, let's get to our next game. The Thursday night game on October 3rd at 8 p.m. is the Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Atlanta Falcons. This is going to be a really, really good game. You know, the Falcons have been winning by the hair on their chin, chin, chin. I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this one, Felix.
Buccaneers. The Falcons aren't getting lucky this time.
All righty. Our next game is the New York Jets versus the Minnesota Vikings. Tom the Bomb is a believer. Tom the Bomb is taking the Vikings.
Vikings.
All righty. We got the Carolina Panthers versus the Bears. Man, I'm perplexed on this one. Felix, you go first. Who do you like in this game, the Panthers or the Bears?
I'm going to have to go with the Panthers.
You have to go with the Panthers. You know what? I'm going to take the Panthers also. Yep. All right, our next game is the Cleveland Browns versus my Washington Commanders.
Welcome to the party.
My Washington Commanders. Boy, look at that hypocrite. Look at that bandwagoner. Tom the Bomb's taking the Washington Commanders. Who do you like, Felix? Duh.
I'm going with the Washington Commanders, but I'll admit, at the start of the season, my prediction for this game was the complete opposite.
Oh, really? Okay. But now you're going with so I done finally made a believer out of you, huh, Felix? Our next game is the Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins in this one.
I got the Patriots.
That's a good pick. We got the Indianapolis Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The question, if the Jaguars lose this game, does Doug Peterson lose his job? Because I'm taking the Indianapolis Colts over the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that would make them, what, 0-5 or 0-6, something like that, 0-5? Who do you like in this one, Felix?
I'm actually going with the Jaguars, believe it or not.
Well, it's do or die. If the Jaguars lose this game to the Colts, does Doug Peterson, as the first guy, gets on the hot seat and gets his head chopped?
Possibly. They're already talking about it. There's actually a Jaguars channel on YouTube, as funny as this sounds. They've already been discussing that.
Okay, all righty. Our next game is the Buffalo Bills versus the Houston Texans. Tom the Bomb thinks the Buffalo Bills lose their second game in a row. Ooh. Tom the Bomb is taking the Houston Texans. I told you guys that Tom the Bomb was in love with the Houston Texans. Who you like, Felix?
I'm actually going with the Bills here.
I'm actually going with the Bills. All righty, that's smart. All righty, then you got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Man, this is going to be a really, really tough and hard-fought game. Tom the Bomb's taking the Bengals on this one. Oh, wow. Yeah, Tom the Bomb's taking the Bengals on this one. Who you like, Felix?
Going with the Ravens. We usually don't disagree this much.
Well, yeah, we don't, you know, but I think because this is an interdivision game, I think the Bengals are almost in the same kind of position that the Jaguars are. If the Bengals lose this game, their season's done, especially in their division, because I still think that that's the toughest division in football. I really do. And if the Bengals lose this game to the Ravens in the division, they're 22. The guards are through. Okay, so I'm taking the Bengals in this one. All right, our next game was the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Denver Broncos, and you know, a longtime Raider fan I'm taking the Broncos in this one.
Oh, another one. I'm going with the Raiders.
All righty, okay, all righty. Then we have my San Francisco 49ers against the Arizona Cardinals. Tom the Bomb is taking the 49ers.
49ers, okay.
Right. And then our next game is the New York Giants versus the Seattle Seahawks. This is your lock pick. Take the Seahawks over the Giants. This is the lock right here.
Seahawks.
All right, then we got the Green Bay Packers versus the Rams. Tom the Bomb is taking the Packers.
Packers.
And then we got the Sunday night game. We got the Alice Cowgirls versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tom the Bomb's going to take the Steelers in this game.
Unpopular opinion in the D.C. area, Cowboys.
Okay. And then the Monday night game is the New Orleans Saints versus Mother Wiggs Kansas City Chiefs. This is another trap game for the Kansas City Chiefs, but you take the Chiefs until they lose. So Tom the Bomb is taking Mother Wiggs Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, I've done this 2 weeks in a row. It did not pan out for me last time, but I'm going to try it again. Saints.
All righty. Hey, listen, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to be coming back with our guest, NBA star Terry Davis, and we're going to be talking about the passing of Dikembe Mutombo. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with our guest. And we're back. Hey, we're wrapping up the show. We're closing up on a kind of somber note. Well, we're going to be talking about the memorial, the passing of Dikembe Mutombo. Dikembe Mutombo, a Hall of Famer, dies of brain cancer at the age of 58. The finger-wagging center who spent much of his post-basketball career as an ambassador for the sport has passed of brain cancer, like I said, at the age of 58. Surrounded by his family that was so important to him, Dikembe was simply larger than life, literally and figuratively, one of the all-time great shot blockers and defensive players in the history of the NBA. He poured his heart and soul into helping others. No one was more qualified than Dikembe to serve as the NBA's first global ambassador. He was a humanitarian at his core. His generosity and compassion uplifted people. His infectious smile, and his deep booming voice and that signature finger wag that endured him to basketball fans of every generation. The 7'2" Mutombo played 18 NBA seasons for the Nuggets, the Hawks, the 76ers, the Nets, the Knicks, and the Rockets before retiring in 2009. He ranks second all-time with 3,289 blocks behind Akeem Olajuwon and block shots. At Georgetown, he was a four-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he earned 3 All-NBA selections and played in 8 All-Star games. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2015. His jersey number 55 is retired by both the Denver Nuggets and the Atlanta Hawks. And he was a Hall of Fame NBA player, but he was a better human being. We like to cover when our great sports figures pass on, but Dikembe was a personal friend of mine. I got to know Dikembe Mutombo when I worked as a security guard at Oakwood, and Dikembe was having his home built. So he had his whole family at Oakwood, is like temporary housing and living, and I was the night security person there. So I got a chance to meet Dikembe, and and he was just such a fantastic guy. Big NBA star at the time, and hey, I'm just a security guard, and man, he was a people's person, and I worked the night shift. I worked from midnight to 8 a.m. I did security from midnight to 8 a.m. And Dikembe would roll in at 3 a.m. in the morning, and he'd get out of his car, and he'd say, "Tommy!" Big booming voice, and I was like, "Dikembe, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Be quiet." And he'd say, "Hey, I just got some food. Come on over and eat with us." And I say, "Dikembe, I'm on duty." I said, "People are asleep." "Oh, nobody's asleep now." I was like, "Dikembe." And he was just such a fantastic guy. And you were never, ever, ever going to get just like a minute or two because Dikembe was going to talk. He was going to spend some time with it. He wasn't one of those guys that would just sign an autograph and move on. Dikembe was more interested in learning who you was. I worked from, at that time I was working for FedEx, and I worked from FedEx. I worked from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then I would go to work at night from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. And then Troy's mother would drop him off at Oakwood. And Dikembe would always ask about Troy. Everybody always asking about Troy. How is my boy Troy doing? It's like, man, what about your inside? I used to say, do you have an inside voice, Dikembe? He was like, what is that? Like, man, look, joining us to discuss the great late Dikembe Mutombo is the author of Second Baptism, CIA Hall of Famer and retired NBA star, Mr. Terry Davis. Mr. Anything is Possible, right, Terry?
Yes, sir.
A 10-year NBA veteran. Hey, look, Terry's first game on national television, he scored 36 points, grabbed 17 rebounds, and had 5 block shots. A career night in his first ever televised game. Welcome, friend of the program, Mr. Terry Davis. Y'all believe Tom the Bomb along because Tom the Bomb got big brothers like Terry Davis. Welcome to the show, Terry.
Tom, thanks so much for having me, man.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure, man. Listen, man, tell us about Dikembe, man. I know you got a chance to rub shoulders with him. Tell us what kind of guy he was. Tell us what kind of player he was. Tell us your interactions with Dikembe Mutombo, Terry.
Yeah, well, first, Tom, it's a sad day, in the NBA basketball family, man, because Mutombo, he was just such a big statue for the game and off the court for the NBA. So my condolences goes out to, his wife and the kids and the family, man, because, it's just such a great person, man. We hear so much about celebrities today and all this, crazy news about him. But he was one, man, that, we can really, speak so many great things about and just, when I think about Mutombo, man, I just smile, Tom, because,
Me
man,
too.
he's just a great person, man, everything you said about him, man, I've kind of, experienced the same thing, on the basketball court. When I played Denver, man, I better be ready and have my A game because you're going up against Mount Mutombo. And I got that, I don't know how many times, no, Davis, no, not tonight, not tonight. And I just love the guy, Tom. I remember when I started growing dreads and we came to play Denver, he said, oh, so you trying to be tough guy now? You're the nice guy, man.
He said, you're a nice guy. Hey, Terry,
Yeah.
like Dikembe, you kind of hung your hat on defense and rebounding. Talk to us about that aspects of Dikembe's game.
Yeah, well, that's what I spoke to my son about earlier. I patted my game around shot blocking. He kind of patting his game around shot blocking. But there was nobody like Mutombo in the middle and how he controlled the paint and how he blocked shots. And he just did it, man. He just had an art with it and how he did it and the timing and the size. Some of the guys, 7'3", 7'4", and they tall and they big, but Mutombo, he was just exceptional, Tom, and everybody in the NBA knew it. You know what I mean? You wasn't going in there on Mutombo and try to dunk on him or any of that. The only way you were to get a basket on him, he had to have his back turned on you, or you just got a step ahead of him. But he was just that big and that type of dominant presence on the court, man.
Terry, I remember that in the NBA playoffs that the Denver Nuggets was the first number 8 seed to defeat a number 1 seed. I think it was the Seattle Supersonics. Yeah. That they defeated, and that was a Dikembe Mutombo led defensive team against a great Seattle team, man, which a lot of people felt was going to make it to the NBA championship that year.
Exactly.
Man, I just it's a great loss, not just for the NBA.
Yeah, when you talk about that, Tom, I always remember that game. And if you can remember, after the game, he just laid on the floor with the ball, man, and he was just so happy, and everybody else was running around, man. He was just laying there crying and just so happy that he was able to bring that to Denver, man. And I could feel it, through the TV. You know what I mean? His hard work and his dedication and just everything he put into it, man. Everything he did, he gave 100% to.
And like yourself, he was such a family man. His family was so important to him. I told you that he and his family were staying, where I was working in temporary housing, and he would take the time to introduce you to his whole family. He would invite you over to eat with him. I can't do that spicy stuff though, man. I'm a wimp when it comes to that. But he was such a genuine guy, and being 7'2", you could look at him and go, well, he's probably a basketball player. But if he, with the exception of his height, you would have never known that he was an NBA superstar because he was such a down to earth and a regular guy.
I mean, Tom, I just hope my obituary can say half of what it says, man. Because the generosity side of him, man, and everybody that knew him and had any type of relationship with him, and just everywhere he went, I don't know if there was a more giving person than him, man. You know what I mean? He just gave, like I said, everything he possibly could to this earth, and he was God sent, man, to do what he did, and he just did so much on the court and off the court. You know what I mean? We have superstars that, I'm able to do it, but Mutombo, he lived it, you know what I mean? And the janitors in the building, just anybody that came in his presence.
The security guards.
Yeah, right, there you go. Anybody. Like you just said it, man. He just took time out for you. He was generous and reminds me a lot of Muhammad Ali, you know what I mean? Just someone with that stature, just how much they gave back to people, and they just took time out for people, and they just wanted to make a difference, you know what I mean?
He was a great, great NBA player, but I think his work off the court was even more important than anything that he did on the court. And I don't think people realize how important he was and how influential he was in his life to the world. Like the NBA commissioner says, he was the great first ambassador, really the only choice for the NBA.
Yeah, but Tom, I mean, to hear, that he went back and built a hospital, I mean, that just totally amazes me, man. You know what I mean? That, he's able to do that and was willing to do it and determined to do it and to leave that legacy there, man. And I know they will continue that on, you know what I mean, in the country just because of him, And the legacy he leaves, man, it's amazing,
So, Terry, your grandbaby's making you write a new book?
Well, I think we kind of getting to that chapter, Tom. Since I talked to them, getting a little older now, and they coming into their own world. But I'm just in retirement and enjoying them, man, and doing what God has for me. If you have another book, I'm definitely going to do what God has me to do. But I'm just trying to do what Mutombo did, Tom, and just trying to fill out my purpose here on earth and do God's will, man, and be generous and be kind, man. That's who Mutombo was, man.
Well, listen, you don't have to write another book to come back on the Tom the Bomb show. Like I said, you are friend, big brother of the program. Felix, you got anything you want to add to Terry before we get out?
So, again, I would say this, and this is going to sound somewhat cliche. We often think about how much the players mean to us, when we're watching them for those few short hours, be it 2-3 hours or whatever sport. But I would say that based on what I'm hearing, not just about what everyone else is talking about, but your personal experiences with Mutombo, both you and Terry's, you can just tell that he was one of those people who didn't just succeed for his own personal gain, not just, of course, it also is a carryover that helps the family, but he also tried to help out as many people as he could. He used his platform, used his talent, used his ability to carry forward a positive impact on the people, on the world around him, and helped as many people as he could. And I think that stands out. I think that people who are in his position, be they talented in one way or another, or if they're everyday people, if they can just help out as many people as they can, reach out to as many people as they can, and, just show that humanity. Like as Tom said, if you were to talk to him, you wouldn't be able to tell that he was this megastar NBA player because in the way in which he approached people. And I think that athletes, people who are celebrities, and I think people in general can learn more from Mutombo just based on what we've discussed in this very short time about him.
Mm-hmm. Hey, well, Terry, look, we got some NBA news going on, and so we want to get back to you later and discuss some NBA stuff once the season roll around. Like I said, you ain't got to wait for another book. Anytime you got something on your chest, you always have a spot. Welcome here on the Tom the Bomb Show, and we appreciate you coming in and talking about your good friend and my friend Dikembe Mutombo, passed away at 58 years old. Very, very sad, but man, what a blessing. Like you said, he walked the walk and talked the talk, and we're all brothers in Christ.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Tom, man. I'm always excited to be on the show. You got my number, man, so hit me up. I'm always available for you, man.
Thanks a lot, Terry. We appreciate you, man. God bless you, man.
Yeah, God bless y'all, man.
All right. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
All righty, that's ex-NBA star Mr. Terry Davis, author, good friend of Dikembe Mutombo's, and it's just great to be able to have associations like that. You talk about a really, really good guy. That's a really, really good guy we just talked through there as well. So we wish Terry all the luck in the future as well. And of course, from the Tom the Bomb Show, Felix, WBGR, we all want to send our condolences to the Mutombo family. A life well lived, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Hey, man, that's it for today. Hey, let's get to our trivia. When was the last time the Washington Redskins or Commanders scored 40 points or more in a game? When was the last time the Washington organization, Redskins or Commander, scored 40 points or more in a game? All righty. You guys, we put it out there early. We didn't see anything on the internet. We're about to go off, so I'm going to have to give you guys the answer. You want to tell them, Felix?
Okay, so fun fact, the team was known as neither last time this happened. They were actually the Washington football team, and it was on November 26, 2020. And if that day sounds familiar, it was Thanksgiving Day 2020 in the game against the Dallas Cowboys.
Who did they beat?
Dallas Cowboys.
Ain't that the team that Nat Woods was scared of?
That's the team.
And the score was 41-16 over the Cowgirls. That's the last time the Washington football team, the Redskins, the Commanders, the organization in Washington put up 40 or more points. Hopefully, with Jaden Daniels, they're going to see a whole lot more of that. Hey, man, look, man, for a dynamic and in-depth analysis and highlights for the Washington football team and DC Sports and more, check out the Washington Sports Den, Thursdays at 2 p.m. on WBGR with my main man, Felix Bassey. Hey, man, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you for spending your time with us. Listen, may the gates of heaven open and pour an abundance of blessings down on you where there won't be room enough to contain it. Remember, if you want it, you got to confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the third day, not a Thursday, just for you. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. God bless you. We'll see you on this same bat time, on this same bat station. Again, I personally want to thank the crew at WBGR. We want to thank my main man, Coy, in the back. Coy has been working with us diligently for almost 4 years. Tim, Lionel, we thank you, Oz. Don't worry about Felix. I'm taking Felix with me, okay? I have officially adopted Felix, so Felix ain't going nowhere. But we just want to thank everybody, all the fantastic people that we met at WBGR. We thank you that everything that you continue to put your hands to will prosper. We thank you for this time. We've learned a lot. We are grateful. You guys have a good evening. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Tom the Bomb out.